Hello and welcome to Gen Next, your show that discusses your issues with you. Prime Minister Narendra Modi launched the Startup India initiative. The focus on Startup India is important in many ways. We'll be discussing all the aspects in the show up ahead. Our focus to also be on how startup will give a boost to entrepreneurship to create jobs and a new dimension to entrepreneurship, and how the key incentives announced by the government will give a fillip to the existing startups. Let me introduce our guest on the show, Ms. Surabhi Dewra. She's founder and CEO of CareerGuide.com. That's a career guidance portal. And Mr. Tushar Mittal, he's the MD and founder, StudioCon Ventures, which works on providing business interior solutions. Thanks to both of you very much for joining us at the moment. Mr. Mittal, if I can begin with you first. The Startup India initiative has been launched. The action plan for encouraging startups has been unveiled. What's your opinion? This will give a further boost to the entrepreneurship movement, if we can call it that, in the country, and turn the youth of the nation from job seekers to job creators.
Nancy, I totally agree with this. After this initiative of Prime Minister, definitely a new environment will be, there. Like, yes, definitely since last 3-4 years, we are seeing lot of movement is happening in startups. Lot of companies has gained worldwide big name like in Mobi or Flipkart, or
sure.
you are seeing a lot of companies. So right now in the context, like most of the people are thinking like startup means the IT company solution providing e-commerce solutions. But after this initiative which Prime Minister has taken, the definition of the startup will be set. Second thing, understanding will be very clear.
Okay.
And then
there will be more awareness.
Yeah, more awareness. And like earlier, people were hearing the success stories, and just after one success story, people were thinking like, I should also do something,
Okay.
But after this initiative, people are understanding the the environment, what government is trying to give, So government has given a clear directions like, yes, we are there to help you. They have initiated few schemes or regulations.
We'll talk about those incentives as well. If I can also bring in Ms. Dewra at the moment. These key incentives that Mr. Mittal was talking about, was referring to these key incentives that the government has introduced, is the income tax exemption, it's a rebate on patent applications, it's creating a dedicated fund. You think this will give a further fillip to the entrepreneurship initiative, to the entrepreneurship atmosphere, and also lead to its sustenance as well in the future?
Absolutely, Nancy. I firmly believe what you said, that country of job seekers to job creators. So this entire initiative becomes very, very important. When PM talks about it, you don't only have the voices reaching just to metros, but it ends up reaching even to tier 2, tier 3 and tier 4 cities. So that becomes very, very important. And the second thing is, when policymakers start identifying that we need to give initiatives or we need to bring policies for it, that means we are creating a very, very conducive environment for creating, fueling this entire thing. The way we saw IT revolution coming up, when there was the IT boom in 90s, which brought middle-class families, aspirational middle-class families, to get this disposable income, and the entire youth of the country wanted to be in the Infosys and Wipros and, reach to overseas kind of thing. So this Startup India is similar to that revolution,
Okay.
Those policies coming in, talking about it. So I think this is a very fantastic, initiative by PM. Very, very fantastic.
Mr. Mittal, we often talk about a regulatory burden being there, and when we talk about that, you feel this compliance regime based on self-certification will reduce in some manner this regulatory burden that startups often feel?
So definitely it will help, but we have to see case to case, like what kind of operations you are in, and how, like, this is for only early 3 years, okay?
Yes.
So if we talk about this self certification, this is really help. Like, I think day before or 2 days before, I was reading one article about few companies has come up with the ideas like in 3 years, but that regulation is giving you exemption for 3 years, but in that 3 years you have to comply with the all regulations. You can't You can't, just rid off what are the...
You need to follow the regulatory process that's there in
but
place.
only the difference is the inspector will not come to you and make hassles for you.
Sure.
It will be self certification. Yes, I am following the rules. I am doing all the compliances.
I am adhering to all the rules that are there, right? Ms. Dewra, this action plan has been unveiled, and you were talking about the startup revolution. Now, for this startup initiative to really become a revolution across the country, you feel the focus really needs to be, like we've been discussing, on a regulatory, creating a regulatory environment that gives a boost and that creates a conducive environment for these startups to function freely and fairly.
See, I think the boost for this entire revolution would happen from Gen Next, It would happen from colleges, within the colleges where the placement cells, can talk about entrepreneurship, they can talk about starting up, they can have similar shows, similar stuffs like that. So coming to, see, when policymakers comes and talk about it, it tells, hey, look, we are standing with you. You just have to get up, dream, we'll be there supporting you. That becomes very important. So when I started, we never had anything of something like that. Nobody was talking about it.
These things are there to back you up.
Exactly. So this is like saying that, entire nation is behind your idea, is behind your execution. Go ahead, dream, we'll be there to support.
Sure.
So, yeah, so that becomes very important, very important. What a startup needs, what an idea needs. It needs dream, it needs motivation. So this entire initiative is all that. I see it in that way.
Okay. Let's get in a word from our audience as well. What are their views about this initiative? And I'm sure that most of them present here must be budding and aspiring entrepreneurs. Let's listen in from them. What do you feel about this initiative, and what are your views and your opinion? Who wants to go first? Yes.
Hello, my name is Disha, and I'm a faculty at DSPSR, Delhi. I want to have an idea about how the government look towards strengthening its implementation part, because the government has earlier came up with many initiatives like MG Narega, but how the government is looking towards the successful implementation, which is again a very big challenge for it.
Mr. Mittal, successful execution of the Startup India initiative is what she talked about. What would you like to say, Mr. Mittal?
So basically, the policy has come up right now, I think, and these days, like the difference between this time and the old time, when policy was there but implementation was a problem. So that's why your kind and my kind of youth always worried it is there, but how will it be implemented? So this time, I think again 2 days back I was reading one article. Now a lot of states, like even non-BJP states, are also coming to support this policy. Okay. So there are few aspects like the exemption and compliances, even income tax, or a lot of other things are there. So this will come up, by in phases. Like it can't be implemented in one phase, and we should all hopeful it will be implemented.
So successful execution of the Startup India initiative. When we talk about, Mr. Mittal, you also feel that there's also a role that now the entrepreneurs need to play here. They need to, rise up to the occasion and play a higher responsibility, and as well as investors, that they need to back these big ideas, these strong vision.
No, so definitely, it has to be from both the sides. So government has come up with a, strong policy framework, ideas that they can support, but same time, like, all entrepreneurs, like, they have to be very careful, very kind of their duties, like, they should not, fiddle with the, the exemptions, or, the rebates are coming up.
No misuse.
Misuse of, all these policies. But same time, what I feel, any entrepreneur or startup, these things can help, but idea can't be generated based on, all these, so entrepreneurs earlier or today, like Swati has...
Fresh ideas is what you're stressing.
Yeah, so basically Swati has already, emphasized on that. So an entrepreneur need an environment, So when we study in our colleges or whatever we are doing, so the team, the roommates, when we keep discussing the new ideas, our vision and dreams, and in today's time, now everybody is talking about this, okay? So environment will be.
So let's hear it from them as well. Are you all talking about becoming entrepreneurs, and what are the thoughts that really run through your mind when you think, okay, I'm going to have this new business tomorrow, I have this big idea, I wish I could start up something tomorrow? What's your view?
Hi, this is Dr. Tyagi from Bharatiya Vidyapeeth University Institute of Management Research, New Delhi. My concern is that though there are a lot of talks in the media about the startup, but still I feel that there is lack of guidance, practical guidance, and that is not reaching to the youngsters in the B school and in the engineering college. So my concern is that how we can motivate and guide, because when you have started your startup, and I think you must have faced a lot of practical hurdles that when to start, what kind of finances are required, though you might be having a very good idea with you. Then what is your intake, how you will guide to the younger generation?
So we'll talk about mentorship and guidance as well. We'll take that view from our panelist. You had something to say. Yeah.
Myself Tanmay from MIT School of Engineering. I'm an engineering student. So I had a question that the startups are at small scale. Would they really affect and provide us with jobs?
Definitely. A lot of jobs are being created by the startups, and I think that's the topic where we are discussing. Like, think from a job creator perspective, not from a job seeker perspective. This is the whole debate, So if you see a lot of companies like, I will not name a lot of e-commerce companies, they have created plenty of jobs. And earlier, Rana was like, I remember,
and that's how every startup is started, because it starts with one man, and then you just keep on building your team. And I'm sure that that's something that both of you did as well.
So I'll add
and also, Ms. Dewra, just to add to that, what this gentleman had to ask was, about skilled manpower and the role guidance and mentorship will play.
Sure.
It will play a very crucial role in taking this startup initiative forward.
Sure. So I'll answer to both, I'll touch upon both the questions, First thing, when you talk about, when you say that startups are small and will they provide enough jobs, why not? Think about, let's assume that each startup is like small, very small, not the Flipkarts of the world or Uber of the world. Okay, so let's say we have startup with 10 people, 10 employees, and we have 20,000 of such startups. 20,000 into 10 is what? 2 lakh jobs? You have created 2 lakh jobs. That's like, wow, isn't it? That's the whole pie, Think about that number of, that 20,000 becomes 2 lakh startups, and you have 10 people working on each startup. You have 2 crores of jobs. So that's the number multiplication. That's not the kind of any MNC is giving, kind of jobs any MNC is giving. And to your question, onto the mentorship and guidance for entrepreneurs and what can be facilitated inside the colleges for it. Very important, mentorship and guidance. Important thing what colleges can definitely do is run a lot of business plan competition, run a lot of guest lectures, or let's say run a lot of lectures and success stories where you call entrepreneurs and let them speak about their hardships, challenges, failures, and success.
Ms. Dewra, it's very important to skill our manpower, because that is something that will take. That is what is required to progressively take this this movement, this initiative forward. And when we talk about startups in the country, we have seen an exponential growth in the startups in the country. What's your opinion as far as that is concerned? What do you think are the factors that have contributed to this? Is that a risk-taking ability that's there in the youth today? Is there a vibrant ecosystem that's supportive of entrepreneurship? It's technology that has made business easier. What do you think are these factors that have contributed to rising, a rise in the startups across
I would
the
say,
country?
Nancy, it's blend of all the factors which you talked about it. It's risk-taking abilities, it's technology, it's the environment, it's the access to internet, globalization, where you're able to share knowledge, learn from your peers, everything, So hold this open culture, and which has brought into this entire startup thing. So I would say, that all of the parameters matter, here, and that has worked it out. And definitely the investment opportunities which is coming up. And world starting to see India as consumer market based, because ultimately we are second populous country. We have the consumers here, we have capacity, we have demand here, and when you have demand here, then there has to be some, there has to be ideas, there has to be products to sell here. So that's been like.
All right, Mr. Mittal, but to transform India into a nation of job creators, what do you feel are the issues that really pose a challenge? You feel, issues like creating a more enabling, creating a more conducive environment for startups? Is it to do with taxation? Is it to do with funding? I want to talk a bit about the challenges, the issues that could pose a challenge.
So basically, I think the important aspect is the education system. Like in most of the colleges or schools, we learn how to get the this kind of job, government job, or doctor or engineer. So environment has to be from the beginning. So when you are in school or college, your faculty, your teachers, like everybody should give you
that has to work as the groundwork.
So the starting should happen from the education system itself. Like I remember when I was in my college, like most of the time IBM is coming, now like this company is coming, and everybody is just preparing for this campus. So since last when you are in second year, you start preparing for this campus will come, this will required for this company. So that as I think Mr. Dr. Saab has also conveyed. So this environment has to come up.
Has to be built up.
Yeah, built up, and that so especially this initiative will help to build that environment. So in most of the colleges, like I got a call from my own engineering college, like. So the entrepreneurship cell is there. Okay,
that
so
atmosphere promoting entrepreneurship sentiment has to be there.
Yeah.
All right.
And second thing, like I just want to emphasize on the risk. So the the major criteria, are there. Like as Swati has also told, like one is risk taking ability. So risk starts from the your college itself. Like when you are you're doing your final year or you're completing your education, you have two things in your hand. Either you take a job from the campus, or you have some dream or aspiration and you work on that. So
but risk is also connected to confidence, like we were talking.
So I'm coming to that only.
Okay.
So your confidence and your circumstances, both the things makes you make you to,
like we were talking about, a more vibrant ecosystem that promotes startup atmosphere, the startup initiative that's present. That's what you're referring to, Mr. Mittal?
Yeah. So basically, when you are in your final year of your college or you're completing your education, you have to think that time, I'm confident enough, I have a good idea, I can solve 10 problems. So, like PM has also told, don't think from a perspective, I will earn money out of this idea. You think from a perspective, I can solve this problem, and then after solving this problem, might be you will get more, consumer or, such kind of same problems, and you can earn money out of that. So from the college itself, you have to build your mind. So I'll just, one thing which is very important. Sure. In early days, like, 2 years back or 3 years back, you were just, most of the people are hearing about, like, from which such IIT, IIT Bombay or IIT Delhi, this guy has, started this venture. Why? Because the environment is like, the friends, your team, your roommates, always thinking about doing something, after the college. That idea has already started when you are in college, okay? So that confidence has to be there. That risk.
Having faith, having confidence in yourself is the key, is one of the keys to a successful and a sustaining startup, is what you're saying, Mr. Mittal. Let's once again listen in from our audience present here. What do you see are the positives and the challenges of starting a startup?
I'm Agarwal from MIT University. Sir, I want to ask, suppose if we fail to succeed our plan in 3 years, that is official support of government, so then does government help us after 3 years also, if we fail to succeed our plan?
Government is not helping you to build an idea, not even implementation. Government has given you a supportive environment, So government has given a very, I think the Modi ji has taken an initiative, how to exit from a business. Earlier it was very difficult. To make a company is very easy. To exit from a company, it is very, very difficult, So this time they have launched one policy, exit policy also. Yes. So they can give you exit policy, not the...
Yes, your question, please.
Hello, I am Sagar Rajpal from Bharatiya Vidyapeeth Institute of Management and Research. I want to ask that if we are coming up with an idea, supposedly we have an idea, the college provides us the academic guidance. Do we have something in the policy or in the program being launched by our Prime Minister Modi, that some practical mentorship that we can get from them?
Yes, you have. In fact, I don't know how many of you have heard the word incubators.
Yes.
Have you? So there are numbers of incubators which will be coming up, which will be supported by government. Again, there's something called IIT Madras Research Park, So similar research park which provides the mentorship, which helps you incubation, it gives you initial seed funding. So like IIT Madras Research Park being set across the country, across the colleges, so that this mentorship, initial funding and everything can be provided.
You know, there's one thing that has come across in the show is that the mentorship remains a big concern amongst our youth today. That they don't have the proper guidance, that they don't have the proper mentorship, and that's perhaps your big concern as well? All right. One more question from this side, please. Yes.
Hello everyone, I'm Richa from MT University. My question is that, is this policy or idea is scalable or not?
Richa, you talking about...
yeah, I'm talking about this policy, Startup India, Stand Up India.
Okay, so let's make this clear to the entire audience, because this question is coming again and again. Policy is only to facilitate. When you're talking about starting up, it's about you as an entrepreneur. The less the government is doing, it's doing it more, you know. So scalability comes in your idea, not into government's policies, you know. It does not come in there. So you have to think about, is my idea scalable? Can my idea reach to hundreds and thousands and lakhs of people, you know? So yes, that's what you have to look at.
All right.
My question is, other than the challenges stated already, the major challenge I feel is when we start a startup. Like the major challenge is employing the right workforce, because we don't have the experience in that domain. So people are not reluctant to join any company which do not have a certain future. So that is the challenge.
Okay, you mean acquiring talent is what she is referring to, yes.
So, Swati, I'll just answer you that question. Even if you are a, you have spent 5 years or you are doing good as a concern or as a company, you have the same challenge, So acquiring right talent is always a problem. But as a startup, as you have rightly said, so it is. That's why when what is the meaning of startup? What is the meaning of so when you start some working on some idea, you have either you are doing independently or you have a team, and then your team build an idea, execute it, implement it, and then when you start spreading the idea, people might join you or might not join you. When you start searching for an employee, you have to give that trust, confidence that yes, your company is viable, your idea is viable, you will get more. So that is up to you. Government can't help in this.
I'll add to this.
Sure.
Can I? That's a wow question. Are you running a startup?
No, but I'm planning to do so in future.
Okay, so your question tells me that you are thinking really quite ahead. So yeah, the whole thing is you're right about it. How will somebody join when there's no predictability of that idea and there's no predictability of that company? And that's what I'm talking about. Once PM Modi has started talking about Startup India, how many of you sitting out here might think in your third year and fourth year might want to go and join a startup? You might want to go and join a startup, right? So this is the environment we're talking about. This is the motivation we're talking about.
And to add to that, the way the youth today is getting more and more involved in entrepreneurship across the country, is creating more room, it's creating more culture for startups. They are taking up disruptions. It seems that is disruptions in almost every sphere of their life as a challenge in educating India the startup way.
Right, absolutely. So yeah, so the whole thing comes into even the founders, the person who are thinking the idea, how confident and charismatic that person is that, can sell idea even to the team people, to hire. So if you can hire people by selling your idea, you can definitely sell that idea to make money also, right?
But Mr. Mittal, it's just not about a great idea with like they say, with great with great initiative comes greater responsibility. So if you're starting a startup, the entrepreneurs, they need to have a higher sense of responsibility, would you say, in the sense that the plan, the idea needs to be meticulously implemented, the regulatory processes, the approvals need to be adhered to, all of those things need to be kept in mind.
Yeah, definitely, this policy will not change the real problems of life. This policy is, I think, in a broader aspect, what I consider out of the takeaway of this policy framework. Definitely, the environment will change. There will be a lot of positive environment for the startups and entrepreneurs. Okay, people are talking about it. There is a buzz in the market. You know, there is a buzz. So earlier, when you when I was starting my my business, okay, so I was working in one real estate company where my parents were very, what are you doing? You know, why are you starting a company? You are already working, well in a company. But I think if this situation comes in present scenario, my parents will be happy, would have been happy. You know, you are, might be, they can connect with the environment. So I think this is more to connect with the environment.
Sure.
And the policies can help you, but can't make you entrepreneur. You know, once you start executing your idea, then these policy can help you. And most of the policies like the exemption in tax or some regulatory issues, this is when you are successful, when you are, you are going ahead with your idea, you are doing, transactions further with your idea. It is not about the starting stage of idea.
Okay. And your closing words, Mr. Mittal, what future do you foresee for startups with, big ideas, strong vision, and with that, backed with that vision, big ideas, the startup India and the startups in the country have a prosperous future ahead? Closing comments.
Definitely, like the youth is, coming forward to take risk. You know, people are thinking about to create jobs, and people are thinking in a direction of, let's think about something to create our own. You know,
Sure.
This is the major outcome of present time.
All right.
And I hope like India is full of youth, and
Okay.
70% of our population is youth.
All
So
right. And your quick closing comment, Ms. Dewra, what future do you see for the startup movement, for startups across the country?
I think, Nancy, this is beautiful initiative which can blend the three initiative of government, that is Skill India, Make in India and Startup India, and very important for the entire youth of the country. Starting up is difficult job, but it's very satisfying, very fulfilling, very gratifying thing, So go ahead,
Okay.
do it.
All right. Thanks to both of you very much for joining us here on Doordarshan News and sharing your perspectives with us. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thanks.
So, while a conducive environment coupled with innovation and strong vision will promote the startup culture in the country, that there will be a successful execution of Startup India, Stand Up India initiative, and it will encourage more young entrepreneurs to come up with fresh ideas across all segments, providing a new dimension to entrepreneurship in the country. And well, that's it then on Gen Next at the moment. We'll see you next time with yet another topic of your interest. For the moment, thanks very much for being with us.